Mic check, mic check. Good morning, Rancheroos. It's time for the RanchCast. At least morning if you're on the East Coast, and it's whatever time it is where you are. So, uh, again, we're on week 3 of however many it takes us to do automate all the things, but a little bit of family business first. And let me make sure I have my right screen this time. So first things first, I've messed with my settings a little bit, so I'm still figuring it out. If you'd like to join us today, check out slack.rancher.io. Type in your email address. That will get you into our Rancher community, our Slack workspace for the Rancher community. And you could go join the RanchCast channel. So the RanchCast channel is a channel that is live right now with a number of people watching us online. And of course, you can see the archives later from YouTube. If you'd like to watch this later, it will be available on youtube.com/c/theranchcast. And you can get all the previous episodes, links to the comments, those sorts of things, all of that. Last week, somebody asked about my Louisville Slugger t-shirt. Got that at the Louisville Slugger Museum. So go ahead on the online store, but let's talk t-shirts today. So today I'm wearing my Apprenda t-shirt. And somebody's going, well, who's Apprenda? Well, Apprenda is who I worked for before I was with Rancher. And they were a startup that ultimately ran out of cash and had their IP acquired. So the Apprenda is still around, but the company that was founded by 3 friends in upstate New York has closed operations, and a number of us has spread out to the community. But I figured, blast from the past, shout out to all of my Apprenda friends who are out there on the interwebs. And the coffee mug of the day, because why not? I did it last week. Coffee mug of today is Magnolia Table. So my wife has a thing for coffee mugs. This is the coffee mug today as well. And as always, you can check out past episodes on the RanchCast, and again, join us on Slack. If you want to follow along on the code base that we're using, now the code base will change today, and I'll tell you why. And we'll get to that in a moment. But if you want to get the code base, grab the Automate All the Things code. That's where we are today. And this is what we've been working with the last couple weeks. Specifically right now, just a whole bunch of Terraform. We will be changing up the broadcast time just to make sure that different areas of the world can see us. So right now we are launching at 9 a.m. Eastern. The next episode I may do later in the day. I haven't decided when yet. So follow either Rancher Labs or myself, Jason Van Brackle on Twitter, and we'll make sure that we announce what time the next episode will be. So a couple other matters of family business. First, there was a Kubernetes Cve. This affects all versions of Kubernetes. It affects essentially everything out there. And Netflix announced that it would allow a denial of service attack or a DOS attack, which would just allow CPUs to spike and be gone, which would be very bad. So Kubernetes has patched their versions, and Rancher has in kind patched their versions. So make sure you're upgrading. So go make sure you have your Kubernetes 15.3, 14.6, or 1.13. And in line with that, if you ever want to see the announcements for Rancher themselves, forums.rancher.com. Go to the announcements, and any security announcement we make will be up here on the forums, both now Rancher 2.2.8 and 2.1.13 for anyone who is still on the 2.1 branch. So we'll make sure that we actually create our scripts today to grab 2.8, because remember, we don't use latest and stable because we want to have control over our versions. And then if you want to run down of the CVE, it is all here as well. All right, enough for that family business. Next family business, the RanchCast schedule. So we are doing our series on automating all the things. That will continue as long as it needs to continue, but we will intersperse this with other content, content pertinent to DevOps, content pertinent to distributed systems, content pertinent to Rancher, content pertinent just for anybody who's doing systems at scale, both developers and operators, implementers. So first, we'll be talking tracing with Austin Parker of Lightstep. So I wore the T-shirt intentionally. Austin and I are both former Apprenda colleagues. He is a good friend. Love seeing him at KubeCon every year. Let's just close our messages. No, okay, never mind. So Austin is an OSS engineer at Lightstep. He'll be talking tracing. We'll have agenda out there ahead of time so that you all can see what we're doing. Then we don't have a title yet, but Jeff and I are working on it, and it's what he learned implementing Kubernetes at scale. So Jeff is a serial entrepreneur, CTO and technical mentor, currently working with Terraform, doing Kubernetes at scale. And I've had the benefit of talking to him recently on more than one occasion about issues they're seeing in the wild, and he's going to share what he has learned as things have gone both good and bad implementing Kubernetes at scale. So I'm really excited for that talk. That will be on September 4th. And then on September 25th, Chris Carty will be talking about Flux. So Chris is a CKA and a DevOps engineer with the City of Ottawa, and we'll be talking about Flux. Those of you who aren't familiar with Flux, Flux was recently donated to the CNCF. It is a continuous not that Flux. All right. Flux CD, which is a GitHub operator for doing continuous delivery with Kubernetes, now in CNCF Sandbox. So go check that out. Chris will be talking about that, and that'll be September 25th. We're going to intersperse interviews, history, get whoever wants to talk about this stuff to share with others. That's the whole point of this. So let's say hi to the Slack channel this morning. Hello, Slack. Good morning, P. Michael. Good morning, Lynant. Good to see you all. Anybody out there? Let's if you'd like to join us again, that is slack.rancher.io, and join the RanchCast channel, and we'll be checking with them from time to time. I actually remembered to leave the audio this morning so I can hear it. So with that, if you haven't already, go ahead and clone this repository. It's Jason Van Brackle /automate all the things. But we're changing the name. And let me tell you why we're changing the name. And we're changing about the way we do things just a little bit. Kelsey Hightower, those who don't know Kelsey Hightower, said something really profound last night, and it got my wheels turning. So Kelsey's awesome, knows distributed systems, knows Kubernetes, and he said this, and he wasn't talking specifically about Rancher the technology, but he's absolutely right what he says. If you want to treat infrastructure like cattle, be sure to remember you're the rancher in this analogy, and this will become your pet project. So, or maybe your hobby farm. So we're kitschy. We like all these rancher and cowboy and cowpoke references. So hobby farm is like the farm that you keep around as a hobby, but I didn't want this to become your pet project or my pet project. So I'd like to formalize this a little bit. So with that, I think we're going to start implementing a few things here. So we're going to start using the project, GitHub, essentially to its fullest. We'll use all the features of GitHub just because we have it available to us. We'll start an organization. I want this to be an open source project that we all mutually own together as a community of Kubernetes, DevOps, and Rancher practitioners. Because, Rancher is unopinionated about your cloud and unopinionated about your stack. So I'd like this open source project to be at least unopinionated on all things but quality, high quality, enterprise scale, those sorts of things. Going to caffeinate up and spit on myself this morning. So with that being said, we're going to deprecate all the things, but we're not going to deprecate it today. I'd actually like to get to some of the automation today. But I am going to start the new repo. And like I said, because I'm going to eventually put this on, Rancher Labs or Rancher, no, not going to happen. Let's call it cattle drive because why not? Let's be kitschy and cowboy, and we'll grab a readme for this. We'll do the whole git ignore thing later, and we'll make it an Apache licensed project because everything on Rancher does is Apache licensed too. And I just want to be consistent. I don't know a whole lot about open source licensing. I just know this one is compatible with what I want to accomplish. And I will clone this for later. So I'm going to grab this, open up my terminal window. We spend lots and lots of time here. And git clone. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, and we'll keep that around for later. So automate all the things will become cattle drive, and the point of cattle drive is again a reference architecture, if you will. Something that any DevOps organization or any organization looking to adopt DevOps practices can pick up and get running with. And we'll review because I do know I have new viewers. What do I mean by DevOps? I want you to go read 2 books. Really, I want you to read lots of books. I'm a big book learner, but start with these 2. First, called the Fetus Project. I hear some of you rolling your eyes because I talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorite books. This book is about a fictitious organization that went from buried in its own technical debt, its own operational debt, its own dysfunction, to on the road towards proper DevOps. And it's a narrative. It's a novella. It's a narrative. It's an homage to a book that did the similar thing back in the 80s called The Goal. That is all about theory of constraints and how workflows work. And I'm a big fan of that book as well. My background was a software developer. I still write software, but not as much professionally, not for profit. Most of the stuff I'm writing now, software wise, is tools. But heavily influenced by lean software development. But back before there were books and stacks of books on it. So we had studied things like the Goal and lean manufacturing and the Toyota production system. You don't have to go back through all that. That was almost 20 years ago now. But if you're interested, this is also a book worth reading if you're into workflows and constraints. And the third book, okay, I said 2 books, I really meant 3, is the Devops Handbook. And this is, if the Fetus Project is a novella, this is the how-to. Definitely go read this. This is much drier. This will take you a while to get through. The audiobook is not as much fun. I do both audiobooks and dead free books and Kindle books and all of the electronic stuff. Just because I never know when we have a chance to read. So sometimes it's when I'm cleaning the kitchen. Sometimes I can actually sit down with the cat next to me and the dog next to me, and a nice beverage and actually read a book. So all the books. And the other one that isn't out yet, and I'm really excited for, is the Unicorn Project. And this is the story from the Fetus Project, except told from the development perspective. So from the senior lead developer and architect, which is really is awesome because because I did the whole work for startups thing and I did the whole business to business and small business thing. I've done operations and development, but there's some people who are just pure developers, and they're awesome code brain people that eat, live, and breathe this stuff. And this is kind of the book for them. I just can't wait. And we'll go a little bit shorter today, only because I'm actually doing an interview later today. Let me go find that tweet if you want to join me later. Also online, live broadcast. Not necessarily through the RanchCast, but I'll be talking to Semaphore, the people over at Semaphore, on the Semaphore Uncut videocast, and we'll just be talking, honestly, just talking about all the things. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but feel free to join, ask questions, say hi. Would love to see you there. That will be today. I'll actually click on it so I have it. That will be today, August 21st. It is today. I have to check it. August 21st at noon Eastern time. So if you're not on Eastern time, figure out what that is. 9 a.m. Pacific. All y'all are probably sleeping. So let's get started, shall we? So I need that brain review of where we left off because I have no idea where we left off. It was a week ago, and in the last week I have went to the kids to Hershey Park. Those who don't know, I'm from the Philadelphia area, actually from the Baltimore area originally. Live in the Philadelphia area now, north and west of a suburb called Phoenixville, which I love. About an hour and a half from Hershey Park. Did that with the kids over the weekend. Did the water park, did some rides, and got caught in a gnarly thunderstorm. So yeah, there's nothing like seeing your kid's potential level of fear and throwing them out in the middle of a downpour with lightning and thunder the first time. Now they all did awesome. Yeah, I've got three. They're 11, 9, and 5, and they did awesome. They weren't scared by the storm. We walked in pouring rain through most of Hershey Park out to the parking lot, drenched, and it dried off. So a lot happened between then and now. Hershey Park happened. Sleepover happened last night, so which is why I'm on like my second cup of coffee, and I may have a third before all is said and done today. So here we are. So we'll open up our source code. And so we're in our Automate All the Things project. For those who don't have the project and missed the opening, let's just very quick review where that is. If you go to github.com/me, I'm sorry, my name is a pain to spell. I really should brand myself JVB Smells or that JVB or something like that. And it's Automate All the Things. Except it'll be cattle drive next week. That'll be something I do off camera. Over the course, I'll make sure that gets announced to Twitter and the comments. There'll be, this repo will stay around, but we'll deprecate it accordingly with links to the new one for our new open source together project. And let's also do a quick review of everything that is in this specific project, making sure I don't have anything as far as keys exposed. So, prereqs. Eventually, we will have scripts to set up prereqs. If you're a Windows PowerShell person, I would love you to fork this project, create the PowerShell versions of the setting up prereqs, and push it back. Send me a PR. I could do that. Like I said, I've got a Windows box here and a Linux box here. It's just a time thing. So I will be automating this soon, probably for Ubuntu and maybe Cent and possibly Arch, because I think those are the three most common that my friends all say that they're using on Linux, and that when I ask, people say they're using. We have maybe we'll fill this in today too. And then our automation script. So this is our driver for everything that's happening. Let's walk through what we've written so far. And it's not a whole lot. But first things first, you have to log into the Azure CLI with just a quick note here. Again, everything is up. I see. I love Arch. Yes, Leah. Arch is awesome, especially if you like doing everything. I'm just kidding. I used to be a Gen 2 user. I understand. Actually, I built my own Linux distro back in my college days because I had too much time on my hands. But that's college. So setting up some variables. For those who are not Azure familiar, a resource group is just a bucket for your stuff that is separated from other buckets of stuff. It is scoped to a region. So we'll also put a region in there, and then a service principal. And a service principal is just your service account. It's an automated account. For doing all this stuff, and we have some to-dos in here for things that we want to do as far as creating the group. This specific set of scripts assumes group creation. So first things first, we create a group because we want to start heading towards least privilege. Right now, when we create a service principal, we're creating just the role contributor, which probably has way too much power. And that's okay for getting started. We'll iterate to a more secure thing to make InfoSec teams happy and not make them cringe. Second, creating the service principal. Again, this is our service account, and you can see here role contributor. But we're going to at least scope it to our resource groups. This resource group is where a Kubernetes cluster is going to live, and then the JQ-R here just strips off the double quotes so that Azure CLI doesn't throw up. Next, we log into Azure with the service principal. So we're no longer scoped to whoever your Azure CLI login is, for example, in this case me, which has way too much power. We don't want that floating out there. So we're going to do everything, everything with our service principal login. And then setting a few of our local variables. The reason they're TF_var is that Terraform reads variables that have the prefix of TF_var underscore subscription or underscore your variable name. And then we've made sure that we've grabbed everything in here. Oh, fix this automation. I should have taken more notes. I don't actually remember what I did last week with the fixing of the automation. I think it's specific to the public. I think that's what it was. Fix automation. So we grab the environment. And simplify your Arch setup. So what will likely happen next week or the week after is we'll have the chat going on over here. So I love APIs. Slack has a wonderful one. I've done some automation of the Slack API, grabbing things out of public channels. So we're going to grab the RanchCast channel so you can see what the RanchCast people are talking about. But I brought up Arch, and every time you bring up Arch, all the people that have used Arch have to talk about it. Because people who love it, and people who hate it, and people who are indifferent to it like me, well, it's just I haven't used it yet. More caffeine. So let's see where we are and even see if this breaks. So first things first, reviewing what we need. We need our Terraform variables. Now, we don't have any Terraform variables here. Now, this would be our Terraform TFRs. You could hard code your variables in here. I don't have to because I'm using my environment variables, which was the entire point of the exercise, so that we can, again, automate all the things. So let's give it a try, shall we? Let's see, Terraform. Oh, and we'll just review what we've done so far with Terraform. We're using the Azure provider. We're going to use this to spin up nodes. We are not going to use it to spin up a resource group. This is where we got stuck last time. Now I remember is that there's a chicken and egg problem that I don't quite know how to solve with Terraform where, if you set up the resource group in code, we can't set up in the Terraform. So you know what I'm going to do? Again, we're going to iterate to more secure setups, but we're going to use a slightly less insecure setup. We're just going to create the resource group in that region. So we will figure out least privilege there later, but we do have the service principal name, and we're just going to actually create this a little bit later now. So we may come back to this as far as creating this later. So we have our resource group name, echo resource group, JQ name. These are all our Terraform variables. Actually, in this case, then we'll also set our resource group name. And we're going to call this, what was I calling this? I don't even know. Automatic. I have it right there. And we're just, again, we're going to create our service principal and resource group from code and dynamically populate. And I'll make a note that it's for least privilege. Good. So we have our resource group. Yeah, that'll go further down. All right, but that's okay. We don't really need to worry about that right now, I don't think, because we're going to create a resource group. Let me double check. Yes, I don't. I just do the resource group name and the Azure region, both of which are my variables. All right. And then let's go ahead and run Terraform. Now, we may tear this, we may up and down this several times today, but we're going to do Terraform. Oh, and we'll want to init Terraform too. Again, eventually we'll have this all going from scratch, which is the idea. We're just not there yet. I think my directory is probably already initted, so I'm going to just comment that out. And we're going to do Terraform apply. I don't remember the code for this off the top of my head. Fortunately, Terraform has great help. And I want the ones to auto approve. Terraform apply, auto approve. That way it doesn't ask me to approve it. And then we're going to do something with the output. because we're going to need to automate on the output. Well, at some point. Do something fun. Oh, and I have to make sure that we're using Terraform 12. Again, we're going to aim at the latest version of Terraform. And I have to make sure that I'm using Terraform 12. I'm not. I'm using 11, and it's telling me I'm out of date. And that's mainly because there are things about Terraform 12 that I don't understand yet. I wrote all of my Terraform around 11, and those things all break in 12. So eventually I'll go fix them. I just haven't had the time yet. So in the meantime, I keep 2 versions of Terraform around, which Terraform. All right, good. And then we'll do, I think this is a link. It is. Good. I will probably do this in the wrong order. Nope, probably did. Yep, did it backwards. Can't ever get that one right. I still do that with Docker, Docker ports too. When I'm doing Docker by hand, not trash. All right, what am I doing wrong with RanchCast? Permission. Oh, it helps when you actually have permission to do things in that directory. Permission. Oh. All right. Hey, look at that. We have the right version of Terraform. Awesome. Todd, welcome to the RanchCast. So we have somebody join the channel again. Make sure these things actually show up on the screen at some point at a later date when I have the time to write the code. I was going to do it last night, and then, forgot that I had agreed to take the kids out so my wife could do one of those, essential oils things. And then I got home, and there was, sleepover happened, and that just meant watching a Marvel movie with the kids over coding, and then just late bedtime because sleepover, kids stay up late, all that fun stuff. So let's get to our automation, shall we? So before we go dynamically hitting that, let's log in, make sure we're logged into the right account today. Logged into Rancher. Good. We're going to actually open the Azure portal as well. What did I call that? The RanchCast? I believe I called that the RanchCast. I don't think I have it now. I shouldn't have it. All kinds of AKS. Rancher, none of that is mine. Anything that says RanchCast on it? Also not mine. Okay, good. So that means we are starting from a blank portal, which is exactly what we want. And if you haven't already, do a Terraform init. I will reinit. Oh, empty directory. Oh, whoops. Go to the Terraform module directory, and then Terraform init. Now I already have everything, but it will actually double check, and 132. Now, I am a big fan of controlling all of your versions. I don't know enough about the Terraform versioning process to speak to whether we should be doing that in here yet or not, but we can do that here. So let's just, heck, for the sake of doing it, let's give it a go. See if that actually, let's see if that hurts us at all. That should be a variable. We'll make that a variable at some point, not right now. And let's do a Terraform plan. So, Terraform plan. Oh. I broke it. Awesome. Control your versions. All right. Good. So it's going to start asking me for stuff, which is just fine. I expect it to ask me for stuff because I don't have my environment variables yet. We can see here in our Automate SH, we're going to need some variables as well. So let's just run it and see if it works because, nothing like testing in production. Don't do that. So the question is, this is assuming that I'm running it from my Terraform directory. So let's actually check our path. And we'll put that in later, but for now, we'll just assume that we're in the root directory. Terraform module. And you know what? Let's actually, in case anything goes wrong. So, set command. You Linux heads already know what it is. I'm not going to assume you're a Linux head. So we'll actually do the whole set and look at what the E does. So set error exit, and all I'm saying is exit immediately if something exits with a non-zero status. So we just want to halt on errors just so that once the error happens, we just don't keep going and get ourselves into even weirder states than we will be with the error. And let's automate.sh and see how, first things first, check your directory path. Terraform. Did I spell that wrong? All right, F2. Terraform module. Oh, there's a dash. Dash versus underscore. All right, log in. Expected one argument, -u. Oh, we haven't created our service principal. I commented it out because we were testing out automation last time. All right. That's right. I was testing out by running this stuff like so. Actually, let's run this like so. Because that way we can actually have our variables local to us in our session and go from there. Oh, already. We've already blew it up. So, okay, that worked. Resource group, service principal. That went way too fast. Service group name. Okay. Service principal. That also went way too fast. I expect more from me. Okay. What did we do wrong? Let's just do these one at a time. We'll actually test our automation later because we don't even know if it works yet. So first things first, we need our variables. Oops. Not paste. Copy. We have our variables. You call yours what you want. That's why they're in code. Second, service. Oh, yeah, we're going to remove that too. We don't want scopes right now. And that's, again, is because we don't have enough to go with least privilege. So let's create our service principal. There we go. That is what I was expecting to see in my automation. Oh, and off screen because that will show a password. Right? That will show a password, right? Oh, remember the dump there. Oh, no, it won't because there's service principal in the way. That's right. It won't echo the output because we're throwing in a variable. Now, I'd like you all to go ahead and do an echo on your service principal. I'm not going to show mine off. I just want you to see what it looks like. And you'll see in there you have an app ID. You'll have a password. If you pipe that in the JQ, it'll be nice and pretty. A display name, a name, and a tenant. So you're going to need a few things out of there if you're doing it by hand. You'll need the password, you'll need the tenant, you'll need the app ID, and you'll need the subscription ID from your subscription. So if you ever need the subscription ID when you're logged in Azure, AZ, account, show. And this will show you your current account, and this is your subscription ID right here. So let's go ahead. Next step, log in with the service principal. Let's see, I've now removed the secret from here. We're logging in with our service principal. And we can see now we've changed our, the only thing we changed was our type, our user. We went from me, who's a user, to a service principal. So this is our automated user. Remember, we want to create, eventually we'll get to the point where we're creating users on the fly with, who are temporary and spin up, do their automation, spin down, which is exactly what we want. We're just not there yet. And next, we have all of our variables. We have a service principal. Let me just double check these. Account. Yep, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Everything here looks good to me. I know we don't have a resource group yet, so let's just comment that out. There we go. So we're doing the resource group in Terraform. All right. let's go ahead and create these variables, and then we'll check them one by one, shall we? So let's go ahead and paste. And I think, oh, what did that do? Export equals not. There are just days where you just can't do it right because, all right, because you put spaces in because you were a software developer who makes things readable for way too long. So we should have everything. So let's actually check our TFR. Will I have a password in there? Will I have a password? New client subscription? Nope. Principal. Yep. Client secret will be in there. So we won't echo client secret, but we'll echo everything else. So let me go ahead and do a. And yes, we had. So if you do an export, you'll see all of your variables, including your client secret, which I don't want to show on the screen. I just want to make sure everything got set. So I got my resource group, I got my client ID, my client secret, and my tenant ID. Good. Clear my screen. See it all again. Now, to make sure we have all the things that we're going to need, let's do a Terraform plan, shall we? Azure region. No, I should have the region. Do I not have the region? Let's find out. I do not have the region. All right. Oh, that's because I had it here right here. And I was assuming that later. So let's just do that as well. Azure region. There we go. And let's go ahead. Now you go ahead and put that wherever you want. I'm just putting it in East US 2 because that's close to me here in the Philadelphia region. Now let's try it. All right. Yay! We'll have a resource group. Awesome. And we can do Terraform apply. Yes, we will do just that. And we'll create a resource group. And what did I call it? Automate all the things, didn't I? That's what I call it. All right, so now let's go back into the portal and see if we actually have something to look at. We should. I have no idea how fast this thing will work. Not fast enough. There we go. We have our resource group. So we're going to be living in here for quite a while, at least till we have a Kubernetes cluster. So we have a resource group. That's thing number one. You know, I had an idea of what I wanted to do with this. And let's start here. So I had meant to put this on a graphic to share with you all, and I just forgot. So let's actually keep ID full screen just for a minute. There, I'm here. And we're going to build this. So let's go close. You can't even see that because I have it on manual focus, not autofocus. So this. So the idea was that we're going to do automated DNS, front-end load balancer, worker nodes, control plane, etcd, and then I'll do a bunch of different worker types. So we're going to have like a general purpose worker node. We'll do some GPU stuff. I want some other specialized. Oh, we're going to put monitoring logging separate, and we'll do some Windows nodes because I was a Windows dev for a long time, and I heart Windows. I really do. I'm actually really excited for Windows subsystem for Linux. Oh, that reminds me. I'll be doing a hands-on with Philly.net coming up in September. I should put that on the. I should put that on the schedule of things because, well, I'll mirror it on the RanchCast and make sure that gets up on the Twitters. And back to my screen. All right. So no, it's not Philly.net. It's meetup.com/Philly. It's .net. Let's give that a try. Yep. So we'll be doing a hands-on with Kubernetes and Rancher. If you're in the Philly area, come see me. If you're watching this and you've RSVP'd yes, then go. Because we did it last month and we had like 115 RSVP and like 23 show up. So I'm going to say this out loud because I run the Kube Philly meetup. I've been involved with the Prometheus meetup. I spoke there last month. Actually, they were awesome. They actually had more people show up than RSVP'd. If you RSVP for a meetup, either go or change your RSVP like a couple days in advance or a week in advance. That way, the meetup knows how much food to order, knows to tell the speaker what to expect. I pull in sponsors from we had Storage OS come out, we've had Portworx come out. I've got D2IQ, formerly Mesosphere, coming out next month. Uh, all really awesome presenters who pay for like pizza and drinks and just who are there to help the community. I mean, they're there to make money, but they're also there to help the community, which is awesome. But when 80 people RSVP and 15 show up, we're all disappointed. So do the professional thing, update your RSVPs. I'll say this over and over again, multiple times. I haven't got to the point of shaming people yet, but I may get there. Rant over. But they broadcast. So they broadcast on Mixer and Twitch. I don't even remember. I think it's Mixer, Twitch. So next thing next, we're gonna need some nodes. So we have our resource group, and let's grab some nodes now. So we'll need some nodes for our control plane. For this view in the Kubernetes docs as a master. We need some etcd. Actually, we'll do etcd first. etcd. How is it capitalized? I have no idea. I'm going to do it like this because it's how I always see it. And then we'll do our workers for Rancher. So we're essentially going to build. This is where we're going. We are going to build a highly available Rancher cluster. We're then going to use said Rancher cluster to build other Kubernetes clusters. A little bit of chicken and egg, but that's okay. So we're actually going to borrow from another project I've done, and we'll adjust it for 112 accordingly. So those of you who have been on the previous episodes know the project I'm talking about, and it is github.com/me when I can spell my own name /Terraform. Oh, is it a dash or underscore? Crossing the fingers. Did I do it right? Yes, first time. And I'm going to grab this one because this is my most up-to-date one that I've done lots and lots of stuff with. And we're trying to avoid having a huge one having a huge bootstrap file in shell, because then we're maintaining shell script as code. Bootstrap. Yeah, well, it's a really long shell file. I'm trying to avoid doing that this time. Like I said, we iterate to better things, and this we're iterating together. So our main has all kinds of fun stuff. And maybe we'll break things out in the modules too, because there are some areas where we could do that. So for instance, we need a resource group. Then we'll need a network and a subnet. So we'll start with these. So in Azure, we have our resource group. We're going to need our subnet. So before we get to nodes, we need a network. We need a network to put it on. So we're going to create a virtual network, and we're going to create a subnet. And we're going to take advantage of the fact that we have a resource group. So we have our Azure resource group here, called resource group, actually in this case. So this is the convention that I've now settled on that I like to do for Terraform. There may be best practices that I'm not aware of, but this is what I like. I like doing the resources always have underscores. My names are dashed. That way I could separate the two. And we're just going to change these to these. That way we have it. So we're going to have a network. It's going to be in the resource group we created. Oh, this little handy dandy thing in code is Control-Shift-L, and it selects everything that looks like that. Make sure you intend to do that. So we're creating a resource group. We're grabbing the resource group name, and we're putting a dash network on it. I wonder if we need to do string interpolation here. Let's find. Actually, we're going to need to because we're naming. But I don't think we need to do it here anymore because 12. But let's give it a try. And I don't think we need to do it here anymore. I'm going to let those error because I'm guessing that my code extension is only friendly to the 11 syntax, not the 12 syntax, but one of the changes in the 12 syntax was the ability to call objects by their name versus having to do string interpolation for everything. So let's give that a try. That'll be the next thing we do. So what have we done? The first thing we did was we created our resource group. The second thing is we created a network. And yeah, network is fine. We'll call it network. And I kind of like to keep everything consistent with my resource group name. So we're going to grab the resource group name, add network to it. We're going to grab the location from the resource group. We're going to grab the name for the resource group. And we'll do the same with the subnet. So I'm going to grab a 16 for my address space and a 24 for my subnet. Do that as you should. Actually, this is one of those things where we probably should make them smaller because we're only going to need well, you know what? This is why we have to-dos. Do the math on the subnet. And really, I just don't feel like to consider math right now. So we've made our next change. We've added our network and our subnet, and let's go to apply it. So the cool thing about Terraform is Terraform maintains state. So if I'm going to clear this out, and let's actually look what's in here. We have this TF state. Now, you should be doing remote state. We'll get there. And I'm going to just off screen to make sure we don't have any secrets. Because if we do, I want to be off screen for the secrets. Yes, there are some secrets in here. You can go ahead and cat your state file, but really it just says all the things that are currently part of your infrastructure as code in a Terraform way. But we've now changed definition, and really Terraform is just like this all the time when you're building stuff. We're going to Terraform plan to make sure we have everything right. Oh, that makes me so happy. No more string interpolation. So let's actually do one more test. Do I need this? I think I do need this. Yeah, I do need it. It's a name. It's a string. We're not. Yeah. I was just wondering, can I do this? I don't think I can do that. We'll leave it as is. So we're going to add two things: virtual network and a subnet. All right. And let's Terraform apply. And this time we'll just auto approve it, because we already looked at the plan. And we'll see how it goes. I need one of those with stylus with the with the pads. So I can draw as we go. So I like to be able to draw. Yeah, draw what we're doing and diagramming. I just don't feel like live diagramming tools. But that'd be kind of cool to actually diagram. Yeah, why not? What do I have here? So, Linux user, I've got LibreOffice. We'll convert these to something that everyone can read. Maybe I'll put them up on slides. But let's just live draw as we go the thing that we've drawn. Well, that's a fun side effect. And I like my layouts in landscape. So let's see what we've drawn so far. And shape, rectangle. So we have our Azure resource group. I don't think we need that much fill, but and we'll grab some text. Is it text? Yeah, text box. There we go. Resource group. And what are we calling this thing? So you can call it whatever you like. I called it automate all the things. And then inside we have a virtual network, and inside that we have a subnet. So we have our resource group. If you're colorblind, I apologize. I'll have to figure out some of this red green colorblind things. I have a good friend of mine who is colorblind. Didn't know it. I knew him for a couple of years, and we were playing Street Fighter or Puzzle Fighter. It's the Street Fighter puzzle game, which is a lot of fun. But green and yellow looked the same to him, and he started matching things up funny. Or no, it wasn't that actually. I had him pick me a color of green, and he picked the gray. And I realized, oh, colorblind. All right, so we'll use big, contrasting, ugly colors for our rectangles. Let's grab our yellow, grab our box. And I'll make sure this ends up in the code as well. If you are better at diagrams than me, and you probably are, then by all means, fork it, create better diagrams, and share with all of us. And then, nope, I want the fill color to be some kind of ugly yellow. Oh, that's a little too ugly. Actually hurts my eyes. There, slightly less ugly yellow. And let's move this into here. And we're going to group these two. I'm going to assume it's Control G. Linant, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, still play it every Friday at the office. I love that game. I really do. So yes, it is one of my favorite of like the player versus player type puzzle games. And yeah, I still crack it open all the time. I might even still have my original PlayStation 1 disc for it around here somewhere. Everything I now do is emulator based, but yeah, awesome game. Next up, we need our network. So I think it said F2. I'm a big like shortcut key fan. There we go. Okay. Oh, is that in the middle? I don't want that in the middle. I want my own text box. All right, new text box. Network. What do I call a network? Oh, it's automate all the things. So we're just going to say, I'm going to do it this way, just for space, because we're assuming it's the resource group names, it's dash network, and in that we're going to have a subnet. So another rectangle. And we'll make this some other ugly color. How about this burnt orange? Oh, that's pretty. I like that. And then we have our subnet, and it's dash subnet. So we're just going to diagram as we go, so we can show. Because some of us are code thinkers, and some of us are text thinkers, and some of us are visual thinkers. And I don't, I'm a little bit in between. So I will try to, be empathetic to the needs of others and do both visual and code descriptions of what we built. So this will be our live diagram as well. So we put that in our subnet. We are going to need some nodes. So let's grab our node types. So let's go into our Terraform provider. And we're going to grab the Azure provider again. I still want to play with this. And we need compute. So we're going to grab a compute resource, and we're going to need some virtual machines. So let's go ahead and grab. So we have a resource group already. We have a network. We have a subnet. So it will need this will need a network interface. So for every node we create, it will also need its own NIC. So we're going to create one, and then we'll iterate off of that. So this will be, we don't, actually, we should, do we need a prefix? We should have some sort of prefix. Yes, let's do that. So let's actually use their variable. And we'll call it, I don't like this name, variable prefix. Actually, really this belongs in, this is one of those, do I keep the thing in the context of what it's in, or do I have a big variable thing at the top? I'm going to keep it in the context of what it's in. There. I like that. Let's do that. So var etcd prefix. There we go. So NIC, it's going to be, again, in the same resource group. It's not main. And this NIC is going to need a name as well. Now, there, that will change all those. So it is not main. These are etcd nodes. And you're already thinking, I'm going to have more than one of these. What do I do? That's okay. We'll get to that. And then again, we no longer need string interpolation here. because Terraform 12 is awesome. So we grab our location, our name from the subnet, and then it gets IP configuration. Now, we're going to have all of our Kubernetes internals talking only on private NICs. We will have public NICs. Those public NICs will be so that we can get to, actually, we want to jump box these things, don't we? We do want to jump box these things. We will figure that out. Okay. So we'll bash a node / jump box. Pick the vocabulary you like. So we have our NIC. We have location, resource group, IP configuration. So this is going to be, this configuration to be called etcd IP config. And then the subnet is going to be the subnet that we created. So it's going to be an Azure RM subnet. And what did I call? I just called it. I called it this. So we're just going to reuse that because that's nice and helpful. Or do I have to go -sub does? This is a good question. Let's try it. Right? Oh no, ID. We need the ID. And we shouldn't need string interpolation here again. And we want our, no, we do not want dynamic. So yes, we dynamic IPs, that would be bad. Let's go static. So this will be our one etcd NIC. Let's give it a go. I like the plan first. When we get the automation running, we'll actually have the automation just run. But again, paranoid person likes to have control. Good. And we'll apply, and we'll auto approve. Now, I do a lot of talking of things over and over again because it gets, repetition works. It goes into your head. For those of you who don't believe repetition works, anybody who's a child of the late 70s, early 80s knows exactly what I mean when I say, where's the beef? All right. What did I do wrong? Oh, private IP address is required in static. In IP configuration, I have no idea what that means. So let me actually, because that's funny, the example broke when I did, failure sending request, IP address missing, private IP address is required. Okay. This is, this is one of those things. We're going to check we're going to check our old Terraform to see if something's changed that I'm just not aware of. No, I don't have it open anymore. Let's go back to our screen. Go back to our Terraform modules. We'll talk about network security groups later. No, this should be fine. I should have a NIC up here, right? Public address. Oh, interesting. That's worker NIC. Oh, I did dynamic allocation on my other ones. Let me think about this for a second. No, this should be fine. This absolutely should be fine. It can be dynamic because it only gets created once when the NIC is created and then not again. And the whole point of this is cattle and not pets. That will be fine. Dynamic. It's not like it gets shifted around every so often. Yeah, that should work. Maybe that will come back to bite me in the butt. Maybe not. Good. And then, so we have one. And again, let's go ahead and check our handy dandy resource group. And there we go. We have our first NIC. Oh, I'm not a smart man because I prefixed it. I don't need the dash. You know what? Question is, what will this do? Will it blow up? Let's find out. P. Michael, when someone says that in the context of IT infrastructure, it will always, in bold, come back and bite you in the butt. And yes, it probably will. Fortunately, we're building an open source project together, so we can afford to learn that lesson together. And look at that. I, Now we have some flexibility now because we don't have anything attached to the NIC yet. It's just a NIC. Once we actually have things attached to the NIC, oh, that's fun. It didn't actually destroy the thing it said it was going to destroy. Oh no, it did. It just might have refreshed a second. Thought we had a bug there for a second. Nope. All right. So we have NICs, but we need more than one, don't we? So we need a way to specify how many etcd nodes we want. So let's start with our TS. What? Oh, I know what I did wrong. Let's create the file. So we're in its variables here. First one, variable. We want an etcd count. So actually, this is specific to our Rancher cluster. So we'll say Rancher etcd node count. And we'll just default that to one or three. Yeah, we'll do it one because really you should be saying how many you want. And we need a description. Number of etcd nodes in the RKE cluster for Rancher HA. That should be sufficiently described. So how do we do counts in Terraform? Fortunately, I've done this before, and it's just a matter of some of these actually support count. And this one does. So we're going to grab. Do I have to say it here? Let's find out. Do I have to say it this way? Var, what'd I call it? Oh, I put it in the wrong place. This goes into variables. I'm not a smart man. That's okay. So, Rancher etcd node count, and then we want to put that here and here. And we'll actually do 3 for the sake of our automation. Can I put the space in here? I hope I can. And then my main, our etcd, no. This is again why I copy and paste. So again, we're just testing, do we have to do a string interpolation here or not? But that also means that it has to be able to do the count, and I believe that's an index, right? Is this an index? So etcd prefix, and we'll do a dash. Do I want to say NIC? Yeah, we'll do this. No, the NIC belongs to the node. I want my naming convention to be node NIC. Sounds good. All right. And I think it's index. Is it index? Again, referring back to my other Terraform, because just for the sake of brevity, it is, it's count.index. Good. Count.index, right? Count.index. Good. All right. So we now will have NICs with dynamic configurations. And do I need can it share an IP config? Yeah. We'll also put the count index in here. So etcd IP config count.index. So now let's go ahead and Terraform plan. That helps us to find out if we did our syntax right. And so what it seems. So we're going to add 3 things to add, 1 to destroy. Let's take a look at what we're destroying. So we're destroying that NIC that we replaced because it needs to be. We're destroying the first NIC because it's getting a new name. It needs to be replaced. Ew, I don't like that. Yuck. This is why we keep testing. There we go. And then, good. and how we look at. So etcd 2nic, etcd nic, config 1, config 0, config 2. Good. Awesome. This is exactly what I think it should look like. So let's go ahead and Terraform apply auto apply. Oops. It helps when you can spell. What did I do wrong? Let's go back. Auto approve. Thank you. So again, we're building a little bit at a time. And if we look at, again, if we look at our Azure and in here and we refresh, look at that. Now this stick should go away momentarily. Does it? Maybe, maybe not. We'll let it do its thing for a minute and let Terraform continue to do its thing. So we have etcd nix. There are a couple ways we can attack this now. We can turn this into a module, or we can just copy and paste. So out there in RanchCast land, hey RanchCast land, tell me, would you like to go down the module path now or keep building out infrastructure? Let me know. There's like 2 of you listening right now. So the 2 of you who are doing this, let me know. My delay is a little longer than usual. I think it's like 8 or 9 seconds a day versus 3 or 4. Oh, good, we have typing. Linan has an opinion. And yes, P. Michael, this will likely bite us in the butt. I'm okay with that. I need some background music. So if you all know good like background music that YouTube won't flag because it's it's private, or if YouTube won't flag because it's public domain, or it's open source music or whatever. Hey, let me know. I'd love to have it in the background. I'm working on the whole like upgrading the studio thing. So right now, I'm on single camera. Have not worked with this approach. Not sure it'd be best. All right. That's all right. I don't know either. But just for the sake of getting things up and running, let's just go ahead and etcd. We're gonna need nix for all these things anyway. So let's just use the same pattern. Yeah, I like the idea to do a module. Maybe what? That's what we'll do next week. We'll build a Terraform module. We'll grab our control plane Nick because I've not done it before. So, wonder if I can control L within a selection. Probably not. That's all right. We'll do this the hard way. Fortunately, code helps us out a lot here because we just keep typing in control plane. It goes, oh, I know what you're doing. And this. And just like that, so now we need a control plane count. Rancher plane no count. So we go into our variables. We want one of these. So control plane nodes. And we might as well put the workers in too. Control D should select the highlighted word. See, what I want to do is I wanted that like Control L replace thing inside of Control D. But good thing to know. So, worker nodes. All right. So we have our 3, and we're going to do those regardless of how we end up. One control plane. These can be 2. We'll do a really small cluster. And we only really need 1 worker. We'll need to scale out eventually. All right, so we have our 3 variables. We have our main with our NICs, and let's just test if this works. So these have no public IP. I don't think they'll have a public. These NICs don't have a public. Yeah, they're just, no, it's single NIC. Let's go ahead and Terraform plan to test our stuff. Good, 2 to add, none to destroy. And we auto approve. And we're good to go. We have new NICs. Old NIC should go away. Actually, let's see, did that old NIC ever go away? Good question. Yeah, it did. Good. So we have our control plane NICs. We have our etcd NICs. What? Oh, we're at 1010. So we'll go for. We'll hold off the module for the next time. Let's go ahead and let's create our first node. And we'll stop after we create our first node for the day. So we're going to need a virtual machine. And let's walk through our virtual machine, shall we? So this actually would make a perfect module as well. So we have NICs. Let's just put this right here into etcd. We'll need a virtual machine. So virtual machine. This should all be resource. You'll eventually get used to me doing that over and over again. And we'll call this virtual machine. This is going to be etcd VM. Again, it will have the etcd prefix. And since we're already doing counts, we've learned this already, count index dash VM. And let's put a count on this. So this count will be the var, right, yeah, same one, it's node count. All right. We'll create 3 etcd nodes with the location of the resource group, the network interface IDs of the resource group. So we're going to need to grab network interface. We're going to need etcd NICs. etcd-nic. And then we want to select, so this I don't know how to do the new syntax. So we'll keep it in the old syntax for now. So we'll grab it out of here and we'll figure that out. I'll figure that out between now and the next episode. So if you want so I'm with a NIC, where's my disk? I don't need disks. I want the VM itself. Here. Virtual machine. No, it's VM. I call it a VM. Yeah. Azure provider, network security groups, disks. Yep, disks. We'll have to create a disk at some point. We'll figure that out. Front-end load balancer gets created at some point. NAT rules, worker machine. So that's what I wanted. So this is how we grab a specific element in a list. I think there's a better way to do that in the new version, and we will do just that starting in the next one. But I just want to create one machine before we end today. So I'm going to shortcut it just a little bit. So grab, let's talk about what this does. So the element function takes a list of things by their name. In this case, I'm grabbing all of the IDs, is what this is. I'm grabbing all of the worker NIC IDs. Actually, in this case, we want the etcd NICs. So it's .etcd, etcd-nic. Grabbing all of these, and I want the current one. So that way, our count of VMs match our count of NICs, match our count of disks. We will make this dynamic in a little while, and we'll actually figure out what our best bet is for etcd on Azure. At least we'll take our best guess. This leave up to you. I like disk deleting on VM termination, especially for my cattle. That makes me less things to think about. And the same thing goes for data disks. But there. Just so you know that this could cause a problem if you don't actually want to inadvertently lose your stuff by deleting a VM. In this case, I don't care. Let's use Ubuntu. 1604 LTS is pretty safe. Storage OS disk, let's just call this etcd. Again, these are all going to have to be prefixed out. Actually, I probably should create disks ahead of time, but you know what? We'll worry about that later. Again, we'll modularize this stuff. Read, write, and we'll figure out what that should be. And computer name, we will let it set its own host name. And we'll just leave those for now. We'll set that up later. Set that up later, and we can tag those later. All right, let's just give that a try. See if that's something to get us a node. Resource group, name. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, look at that. Computer name is required. Well, look at that. So computer name is required, and we'll call it. Actually, we'll call it the same thing we call the VM name because that's useful. All right. Let's try this again. Plan. All right. And if this works, we will end here for the day. So let's see what's going on. It's checking that we have all the NICs we need. Hey, look at that. We're creating 3 VMs just like that. If we go out into Azure, we can see it creating the VMs. Look at that. Just like that. Boy, this stuff has gotten fast. And we can already see telemetry starting to hook in. Azure's doing all of its Azure things. Still creating. Let's see how long this takes to create. I'm out of coffee. It's sad. I'm on the water now. $50 seconds. It's actually a good test to see how about how fast this stuff is. We should test it versus bare metal versus Amazon for similarly sized things. That'd be an interesting test to run. 110. How are we doing over here? Still creating. No telemetry yet. No operations yet. We do it. We have our look at that. It's just detected our operating system. We have our tag. Resources, still doing resourcey things. Oh, it's running. Wow, that was fast. So, 1 minute, 32 seconds. Not bad at all. And I don't believe we can connect to it because it just has a private IP. Oh, no, private IP. So, yeah, I'd have to basically be as part of that subnet to get into it, but that's okay. We'll have to figure out how this works in a Terraform world. I'm just curious. But, so next time we will do our Terraform module thing. Let's go ahead and check this in. We're going to add. So we want to add. We'll add our automate. So with our computer setup script, git add main, git add variables, git status. Really, I want these All three of these should be in our git ignore. Do I have a git ignore yet? No, we don't. Okay. Or do we? We do a git ignore. Okay. So we go in our git ignore. I want to make sure that those also get caught by the git ignore. Oh yeah, that was just the one I put for placeholder. So the reason we don't grab the TFR is because that could have secrets in it. We don't want the state file. And that's why we keep the example in there so we know what example we need. We'll have to add the example the next time. Git status, git add, git ignore, git status. Good. Oh, and the .terraform directory, we don't want that one either because that we'd want to init every time. Good. Perfect. All right. Git commit -n end of the ridge of automate. What are we on episode 3? All the things. Episode 3. And git push. So if you missed the episode, everything's now out there. We will actually, I think next time I'm going to test my automation script beforehand to see if it's actually working so we can start with automation. Let's go ahead and tear down. We do Terraform destroy. Yes. Oops. Nothing's destroyed. There's nothing there. Let's try that again. And everything goes away. So I'll double check that to make sure that everything actually does go away. But with that, we close out episode 5. Thank you all for your time today. I'll see you next episode. And remember, there's always money in the banana stand. Bye now.